Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy... Oh, I want to curse so bad.
Oh, I wish we had coffee.
Oh. All right, we're going to keep it up. We're going to keep it energized.
I think this is literally the first episode that we don't have colada. So bear with us.
I feel like death is upon me.
Mercury is in retrograde. That's what the fuck is happening.
And she's PMSing. Maybe. So, all right. Well, happy Thanksgiving week, guys. We have a fun, healthy, informative...
Friendship chat.
Yeah, it's the girls' chat. Girls' room. Welcome to the girls' room.
So we're going to be telling you guys a little bit about... Are you laughing because I do this?
No. But that's funny too. Jess loves to do a PowerPoint introduction before every subject.
Truly.
Oh, it's so good.
I just want to tell you guys what we're going to be talking about.
You just want to preface
lay it all out there.
Yeah.
Tell you guys what you're in store for, which is we're going to tell you guys about healthy relationships, healthy friendships, how to kind of catch the red flags when a relationship or friendship mainly is turning toxic.
Or when you meet someone and maybe they are going to be a toxic person in your life. Words. It's really working out great today, guys. But before we get into that, let's go into our catch-up time. We should do catch-up time instead of tea time. And the clink, we should do like a catch-up squirting sound.
Ew. I'll pass on that. Hard pass, brother. Hard pass.
So this past weekend, we went to the Fontainebleau because we're bougie, and they provided us with a nice little cabana day bed, and they did it for my birthday and just set it up with them, and it was so cute and thoughtful.
And they asked me, she was like, okay, like we can do a cake for Olivia, like do you want to send me the whiskey and water logo? And I was like, yeah, thinking that they'll do like, I don't know, something simple.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they went out and did the most beautiful cake I've ever seen.
The most.
Oh, they like
good.
Pulled like our logo colors, literally did our logo.
Yeah.
On the cake.
Prettiest cake I've ever seen. Thank you so much, Fontainebleau. That was like so sweet of you guys, and yeah, we had a great day.
But prefacing that, so we went on, it was the day after Halloween. So naturally, I went out on Halloween and got Liddy McTitty.
Per usual.
And I don't know, I just ended up going out to like Space, which is like a 24-hour nightclub or
I
day
didn't know.
Club. Yeah, Space is 24 hours.
I thought 11 was the only 24 hours.
I think Space is 24 hours. I mean, I know my friends leave there at like 12.
Oh my God.
Like 12
p.m. I don't understand how people function in society after going out in Miami. Like, I don't get it.
Well, anyways, I ended up staying until I think like probably 5 or 6 and then going home. So I didn't set an alarm. And I don't know, I just thought that I would be naturally, we were supposed to get there at 12.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll wake up naturally by 12. Mm-hmm. I wake up, I roll over.
Well, first of all, it's like hitting, because she said like, okay, like the night before, she was like, I'll probably get there like 12, maybe 1. I'm hoping that like, we lean more towards the 12 side. I'm like, okay. So 1 o'clock rolls by and I'm like still not hearing anything back. And I'm like, okay. 2 o'clock rolls by and I'm like, okay. So now I'm like, okay, maybe we're not going to do this today.
Yeah. And so I wake up and
woke up in a panic.
It's like 2:20. I check my phone and I'm like, fuck.
I'm literally taking a shower knowing you're sleeping and I'm like, she's going to freak the fuck out when she wakes up.
Yeah, naturally
that was ahead of you.
Woke up literally, I'm like, fuck. Like the girl from my Art Connect from the Fontainebleau is texting me like, hey, are you guys going to be here soon? And regardless, so I'm just like stupid hungover. I make myself emergency vomit. I slap on the first bikini in my closet and I'm fucking heading over there, brother.
Because we tried to see if we could reschedule and we couldn't. So we were like, well, we don't have a choice. And she was like, oh, they already made the custom cake. Like the chef's been working on it all week. So we were like, oh, okay, we like have to go
do this.
today.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, we have to go to the Fountain Blue and have a day.
Like
no, I know. It's just like, it's not the worst thing to have to do when you're hungover,
but we couldn't reschedule.
It was just a mission. So we ended up getting there I got there like 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sun's already setting. But regardless, we made the best out of it.
Always.
But I realized that, like, I don't know, I felt so shitty when I woke up and I was like, fuck, I really dropped the ball on, like, you know, this is something that we do every year pretty much, is like we kind of give each a day where we, like, you know, celebrate the other. And I felt like I dropped the ball so hard on, like, celebrating, like, the most important person in my life's fucking birthday. And I don't know, I was just like, I wasn't necessarily beating myself up for it, but I was like, okay, like, I'm way better than this. Like, I don't need to be doing this. I'm 24 now. I'm enlightened.
Facts. Dude, facts.
And so I decided to do no alcohol in November. And that includes drugs, just in case you were wondering.
What are drugs?
What are drugs?
What are we talking about?
Yeah, so I'm doing that. I went to one of my favorite bands or DJ artists. I don't know what they are. They're Louis the Child. It's like a duet. Mm-hmm. And I went to their concert, and I was like a little bit salty about not being able to drink, but I was like, whatever, this is good. And then that night, when I woke up the next morning, I had a nightmare that I drank at the concert and got super fucked up, and I was so disappointed in myself. But then I woke up and I was like, oh, I didn't drink. I am good girl. I can last 2 days in November.
I am good girl.
So we are currently a couple days into November, and I'm holding on strong, and so I think this will be good. I think this will be a good opportunity to kind of like cleanse myself and kind of just test myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good challenge, and I think like when you can look back and ask yourself, like, when was the last time you really spent a long time sober, you know, like had complete clarity of every day and every week, and just kind of like taking a little control back.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be good. We got water doing some water over here.
Yep. Got whiskey doing some water over here.
That's what I meant.
That's
remember?
Right. Yeah,
okay, you guys remember how we said we didn't have coffee? Okay.
Yeah, let's just bring that back.
But I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be a good thing.
Same. I'm hype.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you'll be watching Hocus Pocus like I did on Halloween night this time next year. Yeah. Highly doubt it, but wishful thinking. Just kidding. We need a whiskey in this situation.
One of us gotta do it.
Yeah, you gotta come back at some point. Okay. Anyways, let's get into our pro tip. It's all you.
So yeah, this is actually a pro tip that I learned from my cousin Ashley, who I would like to honorably mention is our new assistant for Whiskey and Water.
She is our newest team member, and our team member for Zach, our PD, podcast daddy, because, listen, this is a lot, and we realize we need help. Yeah. So we're so excited to have Ashley join our team.
And give us all of her wonderful pro tips.
Yeah.
So she actually taught me this a couple years ago. I think she just like even posted on her story, and this is like before I drank coffee, and I was like, fuck, that's so smart. Mm-hmm. But basically, she uses a candle warmer at work, like for her office job, and she uses it to keep her coffee mug, warm.
So smart.
Obviously, if you have a paper cup or a plastic cup, I don't recommend this.
Fire hazard, don't do that.
But if you're making coffee at home, bringing it to your little office job, put it on a candle warmer.
Yeah.
Might make your day a little bit warmer.
That's such a fun I feel like that's definitely like a Facebook, like, DIY.
Yeah.
Like.
Mom hack number 429. Yeah. Jesus.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to get into our discussion topic today, which is kind of, I don't know, we were talking about what to do for Thanksgiving. We didn't want to do like a cheesy, like, things that we're thankful for, because I feel like in every episode we talk about gratitude and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like overdone and we've exhausted that. But we talk about friendship today because it's important, and it's important to learn how to navigate, and there's a lot that we've learned, especially in our friendship with each other, that we think you guys could get some value out of.
Yeah, we've had a lot of experiences, like within each other, like within our own relationship and our friendships with other people.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is that, like, because you and I are best friends, like anytime we meet another person, we're able to like digest and like reflect on those friendships, like because we kind of have like, and we're able to have discussion about it, which I think is also like why we are. I don't know what the words I'm looking for are.
Words.
I feel like I just lost it. I had something there. It's not there.
It's because we didn't have coffee.
That train left the station.
Yeah,
and I was not on it.
Remember the first episode where I was like, no, and you were like, what? Say it. I'm like, oh no, there was nothing there. Like literally nothing. I got to the end of the tunnel. Okay, I'll help you out, brother. I got you. So another thing I think. Another reason why like we were able to sit and like literally come up with so much for this episode is that I think we've grown a lot, like as individuals, but also like in our friendship
together.
Yeah, no, I feel like our friendship has really evolved, you know, and like looking in hindsight, there's a lot that we were able to be like, oh yeah, remember that time when you did this or that time you did this. Like there's a lot of moments and memories that stick out in our minds that like made this friendship what it is.
Yeah, and that's gonna be really fun, kind of like reflecting on that today.
Y'all know I love being nostalgic.
She really does.
Balls in your court, brother.
Transparency. I feel like transparency.
He either does a PowerPoint introduction or zero introduction at all.
I'm quitting today. I can't do it.
I can't do life. Okay. So something that's really important, I think like number one importance, I would say, maybe top 3, is transparency. And that's important in every relationship, but I think especially friendships. You want to be able to talk about something that's bothering you, something that's hurting you, or something that did hurt you, and whatever you want to do, you don't want to let resentment build up. Because when something happens and you decide to bite your tongue or decide to not say something about it, it just accumulates as resentment. And then something else happens and you like add that to the stack. And then something else happens, you add that.
Until
you explode.
And literally until you explode.
Yeah. So I think being transparent with your friend and just having like that open communication is really important.
Yeah. And another word for this transparency is just communication, like open communication, like communicating freely. What?
It was me.
It was her. Yeah, so just being comfortable enough to get things off your chest, and also telling it to your friend or whoever it is that you're speaking to in a way that they will digest it. So yes, you want to say whatever is on your chest, but you also want to say it in a way that they are going to perceive it the best.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can say whatever's on your chest, but if you're not saying it in a way that they can digest it and actually improve, then you're really not getting anything done.
Yeah, fact. So, like, before I say anything, and this is just a rule in communication in general, it's like, you want to think about what you say, obviously, before you say it, but also you want to think about how that person is going to hear it, because everyone hears things differently. I could say the same thing to you, and I can say the same thing to Zach, and you guys might perceive it completely differently just because of life and the situations you've been in, and that's just how it works.
The day that you catch me on, or like the assumptions that I make, or the experiences that I've had. So it's like knowing that person, and also like another kind of thing that we're going to get into is knowing someone's intentions behind saying those things. Like, you want to say something in a way that like that person can understand that like you're telling them so that these things don't build up, and so that you don't have that resentment.
Yeah, they have to know you're coming from a place of good intentions and like love and honestly non-judgment.
Yeah,
because if I say something and you perceive it in a way that you perceive me being judgmental of you by me. It's not working out my favorite time.
At what point do we cancel?
We gotta reschedule because our brains are scrambling words. If you perceive it in a judgmental way, and I could have totally meant it as an honest, like me just being completely honest and looking out for your best interest. It just all depends. So, like, you have to trust your friends where their heart is and, like, what...
And that they want the best for you.
Yeah. You have to trust their intentions.
Yeah.
Period. Last year when we went to Coachella, we were with a friend, and a scenario happened where we had waited a few hours to see Ariana Grande, my queen, and
A few painful hours.
Oh my God, very painful hours.
Because you can't like leave and come back.
Oh,
It's
no.
just not convenient.
Oh no. And like if you want any chance of a good spot, you need to stay there for hours.
We literally stood like in the crowd, like just working our way closer and closer
In
for
the
hours.
smallest spaced.
Spaced.
All
We ended
right.
up like sitting down at some point.
On people. Okay,
Oh,
anyways,
God.
regardless, that's not the story. The story is that we were with a friend and she, for some reason, wasn't able to like get back to where we were or like couldn't find us. And
there's no service there.
There's barely any service. So when we got out, we got a flood of her text messages and she was like, I really hope you guys didn't ditch me.
Like
And
leave to the house without her.
yeah, was it that? It was something along the lines of that, but
Yeah.
we were like, dude,
We would never.
that's not our character. Like, we would never do that to a friend.
And we had told her that we were like gonna go see Ariana Grande. Like she
Yeah.
knew that. I think it was like she wanted to know that like we weren't gonna go back to the house without her because the Uber was like so expensive.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Or complicated.
Yeah. And so
But it was just a conversation that Jess and I had, like, oh, like, she doesn't know our intentions.
like she doesn't know that we would literally never
do that to someone, yeah. So I think that's important, and, like, making sure, like, your friends know your intentions, that you know their intentions, and yeah, that everyone's just on the same page, that your heart's in the right place.
I think also knowing what rubs your friends the wrong way,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
respecting those boundaries. I feel like this is huge for like long-term friendships, like
Yeah.
because you can look at like, you know, sometimes people have just like their little quirks and things that they're specific about, and instead
Yeah.
of being like, oh, that's so stupid, like, and kind of like shaming them for that quirk or whatever it may be, you know what? It doesn't hurt you to just respect that boundary and
like kind of like agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Like, you may not think it's important, but to them it is. And like, you know, arguments happen. We get into little tips all the time, but everyone's different. Everyone has different boundaries that they don't like to be crossed. And it could be like little things, little triggers or little annoyances that might, you know, kind of tip them off.
But you also, you know, you don't know what experiences caused them to be that way,
Right.
or like whatever it may be. Like in even one that like we've had, which is like so funny because we were like reflecting on like, you know, we wanted to like give you guys examples of what things what experiences that we've had in our friendship that you know we could tell you guys about. And one of these boundaries was that like for me, I can be a little bit specific about my clothes, and like let's say if like I have a top that's like tied a certain way, I won't want it to be untied because
fucking weirdo.
because
No, I'm
I
kidding.
have it tied that way for a reason, and you know whatever it may
Or
be.
like it was like the perfect. This was like one situation, and it just came to my mind when we had this conversation about like triggers or annoyances, and it was tied a specific way. And like it may sound so stupid, but I also like get it. Like you just don't want to have to deal with the inconvenience of retying it, and it was like perfect the first time.
Yeah.
So,
and she
like-
untied it, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
And I'm like, what? Like I was like, what did I do wrong? Like I was so confused. And then you said it, and at first I was like, oh, well, that's fucking stupid. But then I was like, yeah, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
so now, like, before I borrow stuff, I'll be like, is this
Yeah. And
good? Can I change it? Like,
And you know what? Honestly, she probably just caught me on like a very anal day of mine. But because like sometimes she asks me now, and I'm like, yeah, dude, what the fuck? Just like change it. You're fine. And you know,
I caught you on an anal day.
yeah,
Yeah.
caught me on an anal.
Probably. Or like the time that, like, there was a time we were going through a really crowded club, and like I think at the time we talked about this, but at the time going through crowds kind of gave you anxiety. And for me, it was like,
I need to get out of it.
I need to get out of this because the crowd's giving me anxiety. And you were like, I don't know how to get out because it's giving me anxiety.
Yeah.
So we were in the middle of the club, and I was like, just fucking go. And I don't know if I like,
You like.
I don't think I shoved you.
No. You just started.
I just went. I
You
think I
just
just
went, and you just like left my ass.
But it was only because I had anxiety too,
Yeah.
and I was gonna freak the fuck out if I
Yeah.
didn't like leave.
But the minute that I got out of the crowd, I like found you, and I was like, that was not cool.
Yeah.
That made me very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and I don't appreciate that.
Right away she was like, that was not cool. Like I hated that.
I hated that.
I hated that. And that's okay, because then like in the moment we literally like explained it right then and there. I was like, I'm sorry, I had anxiety, and you were like, well, I had anxiety, and we just like squashed it right then and there. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have
need to go any further.
Yeah, it doesn't have to roll over into something else.
But I also wasn't like, yo, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was like,
you also understood.
Yeah, like I said what was on my mind. Like, hey, this made me uncomfortable. I'd appreciate it if you never did that ever again.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, like just taking it at face value and not reading into it even more too.
And, you know, sometimes people can have, like, these little quirks, and sometimes, like, it might be, like, stupid, and sometimes you...
Sorry, guys, I had to rip this tag off my shirt. It was driving me bonkers.
Driving her bonkers.
Okay.
Do you need me to rip that off?
Got it.
God, you savage.
Continue. Back to normal scheduled programming.
Ugh. So anyways, people can have these little quirks sometimes, and, like, maybe it is a dumb quirk, and, like, you know that they're, like, kind of just being stupid about it, and you can challenge them and be like, okay, why does that bother you?
But in a non-judgmental way.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's okay to, like, you know, challenge your friends here and there, but also respect their boundaries and respect if if it is truly something that's going to, like, that bothers them.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, something that I see that's, like, apparent, and also it was apparent for me at one point, it was relevant, a lot of people are particular about money. And for some people, they'll be, you know, for us, it's like $10 here, $10 there, like, I got you on this, get me coffee next week, like, whatever. We're pretty, like, nonchalant about it. But for some people, like, if they're a little tighter on money, they're on a strict budget, and that is something that should be respected, I think, regardless. Like, some people, you know, work for $12 an hour, and if they spend lunch, it's $12. They're like, that was an hour of work.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't know. But, like,
or
for
maybe
example,
even they were just raised a certain way, and they are just, you know, a little bit more.
I mean, granted, like, you shouldn't be, like, stingy over a dime, but...
Of course, but, you know, some people are...
Hey,
raised a certain way.
Live your truth. A few years ago, I went on a trip with a few of my friends, like my best friends, and it was annoying because at dinners, it was like a recurring thing. I don't drink, and I'm fine splitting the bill for everything else, but like if $100 were spent in drinks, I don't want to pay a quarter or half of that. And I think that's fair, you know, like for a dollar here and there.
No one even should like expect you to
for meals
pay
that I didn't eat, but for drinks that I don't drink, I don't want to pay for. Like, so we ended up getting to this huge fight. We're at a Ritz-Carlton, like a 5-star restaurant, and my friend gets a $200 bottle of wine. And like, I think I just casually said like, okay, that's cool. Like, but I just don't want to pay for that. Like, we'll figure it out with the bill later. And, like, it was this whole thing, and then whatever. It was fine.
She was like, why are you being a cheap bitch, Olivia?
Yeah, and I was like, bitch, I just don't want to spend it on something I'm not getting drunk off of. The fuck?
Cheap.
But yeah. But she actually ended up just, like, pulling a power move and paying for the whole bottle herself. So it was fine. But yeah, it was a learning lesson for me too of like, that's shitty, and like you shouldn't make people feel like that, and always be respectful of things like that.
Heard that. And also respecting people's differences. I mean, like, not everyone is on the same path, and like you have to trust that someone kind of knows their own path. Like, you know, you might have a certain, you know, path lined up for yourself, and you might want to bring your friend on that path and want, you know, you might want, you know, bigger things for that person, but you know, sometimes there's just other things going on in life, and you have to respect that they're doing their own thing as well.
Yeah, and all you can do is be a positive influence and kind of like plant, like my mom always says, like plant seeds, and then hopefully they grow, but you can't like force them to grow. Yeah, and I think one of the things is with my group of like best friends that I grew up with since like middle school to elementary school, we're all, if you look at us now, we're all so different. Like one is in med school, one is in law school. I'm doing this social media influencer thing. Like one's in California trying to do like comedy and acting. Like we're all just so different, but we are still, at the end of the day, we're able to relate on like the core basic like principles of life, relationships, love, friendships, family. Like those are the things that bring us together, especially because like when you grow up with someone, like you know their family and like you just know a part of them.
Yeah. And then you can want more for those people, but also not force it on them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like me and Ashley, like when, you know, I was going to FIU, and, you know, she had taken like a gap year after high school, and like I remember just like kind of being so hard on her because I was like, you need to like the time is now, like you need to be in school, like you need to be working towards something, and like it kind of caused a lot of tension in our relationships because I was, you know, at the time I was being judgmental, and I was like, you need to go to school and you need to do these things, but you know, few years later and she's doing great, and she, you know, what's important is that she's happy and she's healthy, and you know, we have a great relationship now because now like you said, like we've planted those seeds within each other, and like whether it's like, you know, her being patient with me, you know, trying to push her, and, you know, me planting these seeds and pushing her, and like her, you know, appreciating and respecting that, you know, we found a very good balance between that.
Yeah, it's important. It's just respecting that and understanding that. I think friends usually, like, the more similarities you have, the more you have to relate to. So you'll typically see a lot of friends will be like wearing the same things or have the same, even like same, down to the same body type. Like, people who are similar are drawn to each other. Like,
gravitate towards each other.
Yeah, it's a natural way of like humans and how we like travel in groups.
Feather flock together.
Yeah, no, it's true. But you can also embrace your differences too. And I think that's beautiful because you get someone, like, you get a different perspective on life, whether it's a different culture or just different beliefs. Like, you should have someone kind of challenging you and opening up your mind to different perspectives, I think.
Yeah. And I feel like you should definitely have people in your life that want more for you.
Yes.
Like, if your friends aren't pushing you and they don't want more for you, then, like, find a new crew. But also, as the friend that's, like, you know, pushing those people, also do it in a respectful way and, you know, appreciate and respect that person's path and journey. And
also, like, I don't know if this is totally related to this topic, but I think in the last episode with Vicky, she said, like, you are who you surround yourself with. And that's totally true. Like, you definitely, like, just as a rule of thumb for life, you are who you surround yourself with. If everyone around you is not, it's aspiring to be more than and greater and better and have a big vision for their life, go out of your way to try to meet some new people. And if you do get in contact with a friend of a friend, you see that they're doing something great, like, value that relationship and make it a friendship, not because you're using them, but just because you want to be surrounded by people who are inspiring.
Yeah. And let's, like, if you are looking at, you know, your friend group, and let's say you have a couple friends in your group that are only constantly, like, messaging you because they need to, like, vent or they need to talk, like, let's be conscious of that, because a lot of the times, you know, we can call a friend because we're, like, in a very highly emotional state. Like, I'm guilty of doing this. Like, you know, sometimes you just need to vent and that's okay. But we should be more avid about making sure that that person is available to, one, has the time to hear you out, and two, has the emotional capacity to take on the baggage that you're about to lay on them.
Because it's really easy, like, especially in the heat of a moment, like you said, it's really easy to call someone and be like, oh my God, blah, 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 and just lay it out. But especially as adults and as we get older, everyone is dealing with their own shit. And you have to understand that. Like, everyone has had a long work day. Everyone is multitasking something. Everyone's family member is going through something. Like, you have to be respectful of people's situations. And as a friend, be considerate of that. Like, instead of calling and laying it out, call and say, is now a good time to talk? Like, I think that's a really simple, easy way to just say, hey, is now a good time?
Also, like, when you are such close friends, laying that emotional baggage on someone can really affect them as well, because they care about you so much. Like, you've called me crying and it, like, it breaks my heart. Like, I'm no longer in, like, a good mood, you know? Because it's like, you know, when your friends hurt, you hurt too. So you really are taking on, you're taking on some of that emotional baggage for that person, you know? So I just feel like don't use someone as like an emotional dumping ground over and over again. And even if that person is just, like, using you as an emotional crutch and is always coming to you with that bullshit,
draw your boundary.
That's your boundary. That's a red flag. You know,
and
lay that out there.
Yeah, and you're entitled to draw that boundary.
Yeah.
You're entitled to
protect your energy.
To protect your mental health, to protect your time, and to protect your energy. Like,
period.
Another thing I think is really important is kind of like accountability. One, taking accountability, and two, holding someone accountable. If someone fucks up, you have the right, if it's, you know, it should be a strong friendship. We're talking about healthy, good relationships and friendships. And a lot of these points go hand in hand, because it's kind of like everything comes full circle. It all
like, this could also be considered, like, transparency. However, like, the accountability part of this, like, I feel like is a huge thing in our, like, friendship, and it's a reason why it's so strong. So
Yeah.
we want to share it.
You have to trust that someone will call you out on your shit, and you have to trust that if they call you out on your shit, that you can take it.
Yeah.
And
you have to be open to receiving.
And take 110% accountability. Like there's a podcast I listened to a few months ago that was about accountability, and it was like, if you take 110% accountability for everything in your life will look so much different. And even at a point where, even in situations where you know for a fact someone else fucked up, you sit there and you say, how could I have helped avoid their fuck up?
Yeah.
Was it my poor management skills? Was it my lack of communication? And by doing that, you learn from every single experience, even from other people's fuck ups. You learn how you could have been better too.
Yeah, because let's say someone like crosses your boundary. How could you have,
Set.
Yeah, how could you have? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. How could you have set that boundary in order for them not to have crossed it, or like maybe something escalated too much, and you're like, how could I have avoided this person like escalating to this point?
So there's that factor of accountability, and then there's also like just straight up calling someone out on their fuck ups. Which not fuck ups, but it could be little things.
It could be little things, or like when someone is just maybe someone's like not being the best version of themselves, or they're like, maybe I'm going out and I'm drinking too much, and you're like, hey, I've noticed that you're doing this, and it's affecting this part of your life. Like you have to be that person for your friend. I mean, that's what being a friend is. Like
even a few weeks ago, I don't know, I think it was like a few things had happened with us, and it was like it was in terms of working with brands, I think, and having deliverables. And then it was like the second time or something like that, second or third. And I was like, I'm seeing a pattern here, and I'm being bending the rules.
I like to bend the rules a little bit. Like I have a habit of bending the rules. I have a habit of like, I don't know, pushing the envelope a little bit, like on my on things
just
like
saying
that.
Like what you can kind of get away with. And I kind of like flat out was just like, you agree to this, you need to do it. Like be a person of your word,
Be impeccable with your word.
Yeah, be impeccable with your word. And she took it like a champ and was just like, nope, yep, that's a thing. I do that 100%.
I know I do that. Like I saw the pattern in myself.
Yeah.
Because I feel a certain way every time I do it. So I was like, I've been feeling like this a lot lately, and I was like, okay, I need to just like stick to my word and do it. Because you know what? Sometimes it's easier to just
it's so
stick
easy.
It's
I'm like, it's so fucking easy.
Sometimes it's easier to just do what you said that you were going to do instead of trying to like weasel your way out of it, which is what I like to do sometimes.
Yeah, but even like the fact that you were honest with yourself, like that's not easy to do. Yeah. It's not easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm like, I know that I'm doing that and I'm going to change it. Like that's
because you can make excuses for yourself and be like, well, justify it. And which is something that I've done in the past too. I've been like, well, they don't, they haven't followed up with me, or hey, they haven't done this, or they haven't done that. But I was like, you know what, all right, like enough is enough. Stop making bullshit excuses for yourself, and I just fucking did the damn thing.
It's growth. We love it. This also has to do with being someone's no person, and that kind of has the same. It's accountability, calling you out, but it's also like we have said this in other episodes too before. Like
you need a no person.
Everyone needs a no person. You need someone who's going to be honest with you and like not just hype you up because it's convenient. Be like, you look like shit. Be like, you look like a mess.
This is almost on like a more surface level than like holding them really accountable.
Yeah.
But still very relevant because you can just be like wearing something and I'm like, girl, sis, that's not it. That is not it.
That, or even a lot of times for posts, for social media stuff, like we'll send each other stuff and be like, they don't have a no person.
They don't have a no person. Like you should not be posting this, sis.
Yeah, like if you're putting something up and I think people are going to perceive something from it that is negative or something that's not on brand or that's you, I'm like, hey, I don't think this is a good look.
Yeah.
And I think you need to care about your friends enough, and they need to care about you enough to be that person. And it's uncomfortable and it doesn't feel great because you don't want to be calling someone out on their shit, but you have to trust that
their shit stank.
It's for the betterment of you and your.
Because I mean, listen, your friends are also a reflection of you. You know, it's like
you're not wrong.
You're kind of making me look bad.
Listen, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Caring about what you think.
And I need you to look better for me. No, I'm kidding. But
we're totally kidding. That's fucked.
But definitely be that person for someone and have that conversation with your friend. Tell them. Be like, hey, don't feel uncomfortable telling me that I look like shit. Like, I need to hear it.
Right.
I need to hear it.
Right. And sometimes if you're like not that close with someone, it's kind of hard because you like don't want to offend them. But if they know your intentions, again, this circles back. If they know your intentions, they know that your heart is in the right place and that you're coming from a place of like just being concerned or looking out for their best interest.
And conversely, to being their no person, also supporting their decisions and trusting that they know their path. And, you know, we talked about this a little bit, but really just supporting their decisions and understanding that they might know what's best for them in this time. And they have to learn their own lessons, you know. Not everyone can learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, and this is less like relating to an Instagram post and more like
more like deeper level.
More like relationships. I just imagine someone being like, I know this picture is right for my path.
Oh my god.
Shut up.
I need to wear this mini skirt.
I need to show my ass in this picture. No, but this is more relating to relationships because we both have had our fair share of like being in relationships, and obviously you go to your girlfriends to vent and they're there with you every step of the way. And I know for me, when Tyler and I had broken up a few years ago, it was really hard. And it was really hard on me in general, but it was also hard because I wanted to give him another chance. And my other girlfriends,
and she had taken the time, like you guys broke up for like a couple months, and
it's a long story, but the premise is that we were broken up, and then we were about to get back together, and then we weren't officially back together, but then I found out he was like fucking someone else, so then he kind of cheated on me, but we weren't together. The lines are blurry. The lines are blurry, but the fact is, after that whole situation had happened, my friends were obviously like, and their hearts were in the right place, but they were like, fuck him. That's not happening. Like, no shot ever again. Dead to us. Goodbye. Like, never, ever, ever again. And a few weeks later, we had started talking again because that's just where my heart was at the time. And again, this is a whole other episode because
that was her path.
There's some good stuff in it. But that was such a pivotal moment in our friendship because Jess was literally the only person who supported me in my decision for giving Tyler another chance. And thank God.
Because I know what it's like to take someone back, and like I know when your heart is someplace, like that's where it's at, and like I understood that, and like listen, if you feel like that's what you need to do, like you have to support their decision. Like you can voice your concerns but like if that's what your friend is gonna do, like, and I mean, just support them. Yeah, and they've lived their life, and there's obviously reasons. And it was so frustrating because I was constantly having to explain myself and my relationship and our love, and like I was just so tired of having to defend it. Yeah. I was like, I don't owe anyone shit. It's my relationship. Like, I'm sorry, I love you, I know your heart's in the right place, but it's my relationship. And even if it is a mistake, like that's a mistake that you need to make. And I'm following my heart, and this is hard enough for me already. I don't need your shit on top of it. And you were I feel like I remember like those exact. I low-key have goosebumps. I remember those like exact words. This is taking me back, but. And you were just the only person who was like, follow your heart, do what feels right. And I was like, thank you. Like, my saving grace in that situation because everyone else was shitting on me. You're welcome, Tyler. Seriously. And I told him that too. I told him that. And like, I don't think he knew that because I told him like literally a month or two ago. He like said something and I was like, just so you know. While you're shitting on my girl. Just so you know, Jess was the only person. He was like, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, all right. He was like, all right, I know I fucked with her. That's my boy. Yeah. So homie. I mean, I know that was like a really pivotal moment in our friendship. And then when you were going through your stuff with your ex, like just disclaimer, me and my ex, my most recent ex, broke up way more times. Because couldn't count them on two hands type shit.
I'm literally not good enough at math to count the amount of times.
God, I'm not good enough at recounting my emotional trauma to know how many times, but
I couldn't. I had to support you every time, and I would try and I would say what I had to say, but at the end of the day, I was like, I have to support you.
Yeah.
Don't want to.
Even though she knew far before me that it was not right. But,
But what's the point of me shitting on you if you're going to make your decision anyways?
Yeah. And you know what? Like, at least I was able to get out of, that relationship and say that, I did everything that I could.
The most. Yeah, we've talked about that before.
But, listen, if you guys have an Olivia in your life, listen to that bitch. She knows better than you.
Listen to your water friend.
Literally.
They're out there. We see the future.
And while we're on the topic of all these breakups and unhealthy relationships, let's just dive into how to spot unhealthy patterns in your friendships and the red flags and what to look out for and how to handle them.
Yeah. So, starting with poor communication, obviously, every point we've made so far has been about communication, and you guys, I'm sure, understand how critical communication is in any relationship, whether it's friendship or relationship, like love relationship. What do you call that? What do you call a relationship that's your partner? A romantic. Thank you.
Yeah, romantic.
Romantic relationship.
There you go.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I tried. But if a friend is really hard, if it's really hard for them to open up, if it's really hard for them to let their guard down, if it's hard for them to be vulnerable, those are some red flags. You shouldn't feel like you're tiptoeing or walking on eggshells around a friend. You should be able to an open door policy.
Yeah.
Freely communicate what's on your mind and kind of just hear each other out.
And if you can't, you're building up so much emotional energy within yourself. You're giving yourself a roadblock and you're not living your truth if you can't tell a friend what is on your mind.
Yeah.
And we've had this, these types of friendships in the past, and we ended up just having to discontinue those friendships because it just wasn't healthy, and it stemmed from not being able to speak our truths and not being able to communicate freely with them.
Because no matter how articulate or no matter how genuine of a place that we were coming from,
we were speaking different languages.
They were never going to perceive it the right way. There's a great quote.
Oh, don't spend a lifetime translating your soul?
No.
Oh.
Something, sorry. No, it's something along the lines of you can communicate however you want. If that person is not open to receiving it or if that person is not understanding correctly,
you're literally talking to a brick wall.
Yeah, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
But on that topic of someone having certain patterns or not being open to communication, a lot of times that comes from
past traumas,
childhood issues. And I've said this before too, as we're getting older, it is so becoming more and more apparent how childhood traumas will manifest themselves and spew themselves out in all sorts of different ways in adulthood. And it's
and that's all of us have our own shit.
Yes.
I have my fair share of, childhood issues and trauma, but I avidly work towards healing and being open to, love and becoming a better person. So it's
to growing, to changing. You're open to changing. That's the difference.
That is the difference, because neither of us are the same person that we are when we met, 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And how much I've grown since then. I was so much more just immature and aggressive. And it's even if it's just disregarding the aggression and the immaturity, there's just so much about me that's grown, and it's because I'm open to that growth. And so let's say that your friend does have that trauma, but as long as they're working towards as long as they're open to growth and open to receiving that advice, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But if that friend is not working towards
work, if they're not doing any self-work, that's what I have in my notes. It's like, if someone had a hard childhood and they haven't done the self-work to work through it, your friendship could be opening up a whole can of worms. And unfortunately, anyone who gets involved with them in their lives is going to be opening that can of worms. It's like, it's not that
you can't fix them, they have to fix themselves.
Yeah, like they should be going to therapy. Like,
and you are not their therapist.
You are not their therapist. That's a huge thing too.
Yeah, so that's like, as I was saying earlier, like, don't be that emotional clutch for someone.
Yeah, unfortunately, like there's a line, there's a difference between being a good friend and being able to talk someone through a really hard time or situation, but also you are not your friend's therapist. And if you feel like they need professional help, you should advise them to seek that. And we have done that. I've done that so many times with friends, not even in an offensive way, just like, what you're dealing with is beyond my capacity as a friend.
Yeah.
Like, I can't help you. You
also
need professional help.
Job.
Also not my job, but it would benefit you more to seek professional help.
Mm-hmm. And people who have shared like emotional traumas, like let's say like you both come from broken families or whatever it may be, like oftentimes like you'll kind of like bond over that.
Yeah.
But then like you become that emotional clutch for someone. Yeah. And like you just shouldn't have to
be that person.
You shouldn't have to be that person.
And if that is something that's bonding you, and if that's something that's one of the only things that's bonding you, that's kind of an unhealthy pattern.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah, it's an unhealthy pattern for sure. And not that it's like grounds for breaking up or grounds for not being friends with someone, but it's something to keep an eye on and just be really aware of.
Yeah, agreed.
Another red flag, of course, is insecurities. Like, if there's any jealousy of success, if there's any intimidation of you or each other, that's never going to be a good situation.
Yeah. I mean, we've been in a few situations where it's like even, so like, let's say like at the beginning of our friendship, like, I feel like you'd book something and like, I would be like envious and I'd be like, damn, I want to book, like, you know, I wish I was booking those things. And then like, when it occurred to me that like, your success was my success, my entire perception changed. Yeah. And now that applies to not only you, because your success literally is my success, but any of my friends. Like, and a great quote that I heard in a podcast recently that I want to share is that the rising tide rises all ships, which is so true. Yeah. Like someone else's success never will take away from your success. Yeah. And another kind of unrelated, but like people say this all the time, like, you know, someone else's beauty doesn't take away from your beauty, and it's kind of it's like the same thing. And it's like, if you have friends that are like kind of like petty about like you being successful or like you know, doing certain things, like, or if they get intimidated like by you when you're like leveling up, like, it's just those are huge red flags. And just
and it's almost like, you know, it's a problem when it's like you almost don't even want to tell them about your success or your happiness, because you feel like they might be intimidated by it or might might try to,
or if they might feel like downplay it. So if you like feel uncomfortable telling someone about your success, like, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah. No, for sure. And we've been in friendships where literally like I can tell this is happening and I'm like, this isn't healthy.
This isn't healthy.
Yeah. Well, okay. And the next thing is talking about other people. Obviously, guys, everyone talks shit. It's a part of human nature. It's fine, but as we get older, we're 24 years old, people, let's stop talking shit. But I understand when you know, things come up and someone's frustrating you and you want to vent, or you want to, I say it's more of like sharing observations than talking shit. It's like, oh, she does this way, but my rule of thumb is like, if I would genuinely be okay with the person I'm talking about hearing this, like, genuinely, don't just say that. Don't just be like, I would say all this to her face.
Yeah, no, you have to mean it.
Because people love saying, I would say all this to their face, but they really wouldn't. I literally am talking, I'm imagining that person in this room. I'm like, how would they feel if I was talking about them in this way? And if they would be hurt by what I'm saying, I won't say it. Yeah. Or I'll reframe it a different way. I just think that's like...
Or like, I mean, another general rule, like if what you're saying or if what someone's saying to you makes you uncomfortable, it's shit talking. You're not just like sharing an observation.
Yeah. There's no need to be, what I'm saying is like, there's no need to be petty. Like, really, if you have nothing nice to say, keep it to yourself. There's a difference between expressing feelings and expressing frustration, but also, like, you can tell if you're going overboard and you're saying things that are just mean and unnecessary, keep it to yourself. Be impeccable with your word.
Or just, or like, I don't know, start thinking about, like, why you're feeling that way, or, like, move away from things that make you feel that way. And also, like, let's say that you have a friend who's always talking shit about her other friends. Listen, that's another red flag.
Yeah.
We have plenty of those friends that'll sit there and talk shit about their BFFs, and then like,
you're just like,
they're like,
what?
Then they're like pimping themselves out on fucking Instagram stories, pretending like sucking each other's dicks online, and it's like, okay,
really, though?
It's like,
that's weird.
Are you guys best friends? Because you were literally just talking shit about her. And guess what? If she's saying that shit about her supposed best friend, she's saying worse or comparable shit about you.
You best believe it.
Heard that. So something that I use as like a form of like when someone's talking shit, and if I'm uncomfortable, that means they're talking shit. What I say to try to like, granted, if I don't really know the person, I don't really care. But if it's someone I care about, I say, well, you know what? I just try not to be judgmental, which is a passive-aggressive way of saying you're being judgmental. Yeah.
And that's like a nice way of saying like,
check yourself.
You can say whatever you want, but where I'm coming from is a place of non-judgment. You don't know what that person's going through. You don't know why they're acting the way they're acting. You don't know if they're insecure about their weight, and here you are calling them a whale. Like, it's just not nice.
Oh, God.
Don't be that person.
Don't be a mean person.
Just don't be a mean girl or boy.
Ugh. And don't have those people in your life either. You don't need, like, gossip literally is
toxic.
It's like a disease.
Is toxic.
It's like a disease.
Yeah.
And you don't need that in your life.
Unnecessary negative energy.
Does literally nothing.
Something the other day, we thought it was so funny in hindsight. I found this girl on Instagram, and she wasn't, I didn't think she was, how do I say this without sounding like an asshole?
She DM'd me. Olivia DM'd me.
You say it so I don't sound like an asshole.
Olivia DM'd me and sent me this girl's photo, and she goes, I don't think this girl is pretty on the outside. And, well... I think
I might have said, in my opinion.
In my opinion.
Because maybe someone else thinks that was my way of saying, like, this bitch is ugly, but I would never, like, I can't let those words come out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's just, like, negative. And,
so,
and you can have your opinion, and you can also voice it in not such a nasty way, and which is what you did. And it's pretty rare that, like, we're sending each other, like, we never just, like, send each other girls, and, like, we're like, oh, this bitch is ugly. So it's, like, when I fucking saw that DM, I, like, was dying. Because I just knew that, like, she was trying not to talk shit, but she was also she needed to voice her opinion.
I needed to voice my opinion, and it pained me to be mean about it. So I was like, in my opinion, I don't think she's pretty on the outside. Yeah. Because I'm sure she's a beautiful person. And I was just stating facts from the physical form.
Yeah. Which is, fine. We all have our opinions.
It's so funny though.
I was like, dying.
I don't think she's pretty on the outside.
She's like, how do I say this?
Okay. No, I'm kidding. Okay, last one, guys. This is a red flag. We know plenty of them out there. Opportunists, aka users, friends who are using
social
you,
climbers.
friends who clout chasers, people who are only using you when they want, or they're only reaching out to you when they want something from you, or they think they can benefit from you.
This is pretty prevalent in our lives because of the industry that we're in, and just the nature of like our social medias and stuff like that. So it's like like you can tell when people are just like keeping, and maybe in like, the thing is, we can also like take a back seat to this because we live in Miami where it's not as prevalent. Like in LA, I would say it's much worse just from the experiences that we've seen. But it's so funny because like we can just literally take a back seat here and just watch everything unfold, and we just see like
that's funny.
Like we see we see you guys are hanging out with certain people and posting it way more than you do your normal friends.
Tagging them.
Yeah.
Way more.
Which is just, these are...
Non-judgment. It's fine. Hustle. Do what you got. Live your truth.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong.
But also, like, we know what the fuck is good.
Yeah, and, we totally understand, like, if you're hanging out with someone, like, cool, or someone that, like, can benefit your career or following, whatever it may be, like, respect, like, good for you. Like, you're hanging out with people that, might propel you forward. But also, like...
Don't use them for their...
Don't use
them. Like them because they're a genuine person.
And don't just keep people around because
of their social status.
Like, that's, like, how you live an unhealthy, unhappy life, is when you have just ingenuine friendships and relationships, like, you're not living your truth. Like, you're keeping people around simply because they're convenient for you.
Yeah, convenient, or will help you achieve something in a materialistic way.
Yeah.
Like, you should have people who are really close with you who don't benefit your life at all, other than simply their presence. They bring you happiness. And their energy. Like, literally. I have plenty of friends who don't do shit for my career, and guess what? That's not what they're there for. They're there because they're my friend, and I love them, and they make me happy, and their presence is a present. Like,
that's, like, you need those people. Like, and I don't know if you guys need a reminder, but, like, you need those people in your life. Yeah. And, like, of course, like, your close circle should be people who are propelling you forward and who are supporting you and who are...
But they should be propelling you forward with their personality and behavior and relationship, like, not because of their social status.
Exactly, not because of their social status.
All right. I mean, guys, I feel like we covered it pretty much. Friendship, healthy, not healthy.
We did the damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, we covered it.
All right, let's get into tea time, brother.
Yeah, tea time. Clink. Okay, I found this tea time online.
Online.
I'm selling myself out. Okay, the question is, the world ends next week, and you can do anything you want. What would you do?
The question originally said, even if it's illegal.
Even if it's illegal, but I said that incentivizes you to pick something that is illegal when...
I mean, listen, if the world ends in 1 week, I'm likely doing something illegal anyway. Like, oh, what, you guys gonna put me in jail for 6 days? I don't think so.
I just feel like there's nothing that I really need to do that's illegal.
Well, personally, I'm stealing... I'm going GTA style all over Miami.
Okay.
I'm literally going to steal, like, an Aston Martin.
Shit.
And just, like, I love going fast. I'm just going to drive, like a fucking maniac all over. If I could hijack a plane and I knew how to drive it. Do you drive a plane?
You fly a plane.
Oh.
Yep, there we go.
I'm flying a plane. Okay. I'm, like, taking it to, like... Bali or Belize or I don't know. I'm just doing some crazy ass shit. Whatever you can do on GTA, just assume that I'm the character.
Okay.
And I'm just going crazy.
Wow, rowdy. I feel like you've thought about this before.
Oh, what?
Okay, if the world ends next week and I could do anything I want, with the reference that it doesn't have to be illegal, I would say I'm skydiving, like, in the most epic places in the world. Dubai, China.
Well, you can still do that.
Well, yes, but if the world ended next week, that means my life ends next week, which means I'm going skydiving in beautiful places.
Heard that?
You heard? It's kind of like your bucket list. Yeah, I would literally just pick, like, the 20 most insane places to skydive in the world.
You're doing 20 skydives all over 10. The world in 7 days?
Maybe 10.
I'm impressed.
Listen, maybe I'll have superpowers too.
Well,
that's it. That's she time. Clink.
Clink.
All right, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
It's episode, what, 11 now?
No, this is... Oh, yes. It is 11.
I think it is 11. Oh, guys, we only have one more episode until the season wraps up. This is crazy.
And we're just going to give you guys a heads up now. We are going to take a 1 week break after season 1, which is after episode 12. We're taking a little breather. We're going to come back feeling super refreshed. We have to go back to, the lab and just work out some kinks, figure out how to be the best version of us and the show for you guys, and come back better than ever for season 2.
Truly. Thank you guys for tagging along this far.
Yeah. Please, we love seeing screenshots of you guys listening to the episode. Tag us in it. We'll repost everything.
Leave a rating, review,
make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already. Please, please, please. And have a great week, guys.
Have a great week. Happy Monday.
Bye.